So my buddies keep saying I need to get back into the dating scene, you know, because to them, living in your own house with complete freedom in every aspect has got to be one of the most mentally unstable and or depressing things imaginable. Sure, I get lonely from time to time, but I can move the couch wherever I want. Y'all know how stubborn some friends can be though, right? So ultimately I had to acquiesce. I think I'm using big words and shit. So we actually tried quite a few dating sites, and it was a failure to say the least. First dating site I got on, y'all, Christian Mingle. And within 5 minutes, y'all, I get my first match. I'm all nervous and shit. Y'all know how it gets, you know, butterflies in your stomach, you know, we get to chatting and stuff. First thing she asked me, she goes, are you a missionary? I say, well, I prefer doggy style to the third date. Blocked immediately. Not a have a blessed day, not a damn assalamu alaikum, not a damn thing. The next website I tried was Hinge, and I gotta be honest with y'all, that name's a little misleading. So I meet this chick on there, right? You know, we get to chat. It's a little better than the last one. She ends up coming over to my house, actually, right? We started getting freaky and shit. And look, we all grown here. We know how this is, right? Some girls go to moan and some like to cuss. Some even make animal noises if they into that shit, right? Y'all, this bitch went to speaking in tongues with me. I freaked out. I punched the bitch in the throat. I ain't gonna lie. I couldn't let her finish. I didn't know what she was trying to do. Can't be trying to perform rituals, and I'm over here with my meat out like this. First off, highly disrespectful to the demon, because I'm sure he didn't come all the way up here to see that. That's not very Hinge. That's not very Hinge at all. I tried Match.com. You know, Match.com was really confusing. I thought that meant that you was looking for a match and not the fact that 85% of the women on there are arsonists. The only dating site that I can say stayed true to itself, stayed true to its root, maybe a little too true to itself. That was farmersonly.com, all right? Let me tell you something. That shit was so realistic. I got on Farmers Only. Next thing I knew, I was dating a hoe for 6 months. Now, I also tried Bumble, right? Now Bumble was kind of like a feminist app where, like, the woman makes the first move, right? And I'm completely fine with that, right? That makes perfect sense, which is why I signed up as a woman. But nah, I think I'm just gonna stay single, y'all. I think that's what I'm gonna do. We all have that one friend that's just an absolute asshole for no reason, right? Just no reason at all. I typically get a kick out of these guys, you know, not because they're funny, but because every time I go out with one of them, I find myself getting escorted out of the establishment. It's especially worse when that asshole friend is your best friend, because asshole best friends get insanely jealous of any other friend that you might have. Like, for instance, one weekend I'm out with my best friend, right? And my other good buddy decides to tag along. We go to the club, everything goes as planned, we all have a good time, leave the club, we hit the Waffle House, right? Now, I was a little drunk. I can't remember everything, but I remember this specifically because they were both of them were like, are you sure you want to eat here? And I saw the cook. He was outside on the phone arguing with his baby mom while he was putting out his Newport 100. And I was like, you damn right I want to eat here. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had hash browns that were cooked by a man who actively contemplates domestic violence? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. It was great, actually. I mean, he left his anger in my eggs. Okay, nothing about that sounded okay. Anyways, we get in there, we get seated. My best friend goes to use the bathroom, and while he's gone, my buddy sparks up this conversation about this girl he had met in the club earlier. Apparently, this girl was like super duper attractive or some shit. You know, they got to dancing, drinking, a little conversating. You know, everything was, you know, doing good. One thing led to another, and at the end of the night, she actually invited him back to her place, and he turned her down. All right, so here's a little backstory to fill in some gaps here, right? My buddy, his past, okay, this guy was a full-blown sex addict, right? Like there's no way around it. Like, this guy wanted to get freaky 24/7. He can never hold down a relationship because, you know, all he wanted to do was just have sex all the time, and like, it was just crazy. Like, a girl would fall in love with him, and then he'd just screw it right out of him. I mean, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, this is real life shit. Like, he went to therapy about it and everything. Like, this has really been something that, like, has hindered him in his mind. So to him, like, this step, like, rejecting that girl was like a big deal. Like, it meant a lot to him. And with him being my friend, I'm obviously going to support him, you know, so I was happy for him. You know, I congratulated him. I told him, you know, that's a big step. You know, I got you back the whole way. I always, you know, if you ever need someone to talk to. As this is going on, my best friend's coming back from the restroom, right? Now, my best friend, he wasn't there for the majority of the story, but he knows about, you know, he knows about my buddy, and he hears enough. He's very quickly able to put the pieces together and connect the dots, right? He's up to speed like that. Here's the thing, right? My best friend, he knows about my buddy's past, right? And, yeah, he doesn't care as much. So I'm sitting here and I'm giving my friend all this love and support, you know, and just being there for him. And, you know, my best friend, he just takes a sip of his coffee and he's just like, that's kind of gay. What the hell's wrong with you, man? My friend went off the rails immediately, right? But like in crescendo form, you know, like it was a build up. It was the most intense thing I've ever seen in my life. Like it started so smooth and then it just like it was like, you think I'm gay? Well, what if I was? Rage Against the Machine pops up from behind the counter. Anyways, that's how he got us kicked out of the Waffle House. So I'm like 99% positive my house is haunted, and I'm gonna tell you why. Earlier this year, I woke up with morning wood, and after an extensive internet search, I quickly came to the conclusion that I had been diddled by a spirit with no one to hear it. Every morning, I'm risen by an apparition. There's a spooky trying to give you that mookie. A demon trying to steal my sea charger, knowing my vape will surely die without it. And unfortunately, this has been going on for quite some time. 9 months ago, I had a wet dream, and now every night at 3:30, I'm awoken to the terrifying sounds of faint baby cries accompanied with the filings of child support. Visitation is, well, it's complicated. First off, I haven't heard from its mother in months. I think she ghosted me. I mean, I ain't woke up with morning wood in a good 6 months now. And yeah, I gotta refer to the baby as an it because like the chick from The Last of Us, it identifies as non-library. I don't know what's so special about not being able to read very well. I guess you could say it's been a pretty eventful year for me, and I honestly didn't know where to turn until just the other day I went to the doctor. Turns out morning wood is completely natural, and you know, this whole time I'm sitting here thinking I done got abandoned, and in reality, it's just, you know, early signs of erectile dysfunction. You know, I'll probably be the first to say it's probably about the dumbest fucking video I ever did. So my son's gotten a little older, you know, and like he's gotten better with his conversation. He can't necessarily hold one yet, but he's going through a phrase phase, if that makes sense. You know, he's got a bunch of them, but like some of his more consistent ones are, you know, go outside. Feeling sick. Is this my new mommy? Simple, everyday things like that. When he was a baby, I used to really beat myself up about letting him cry it out, even though everyone told me, like, it's natural. Sometimes you just gotta do that. Like, I could never really grasp that concept, right? I always felt like there's gotta be something I can do, right? Fast forward till now. He can tell me yes, and he can tell me no. And I think this is the part where where it all starts to make sense to the parents, right? Kids don't know what the fuck they want. The other day, I'm like, hey man, I got orange juice and I got grape juice. Which one you want? He's like, I want grape juice. Cool. I make the grape juice, bring it to him. He's like, Daddy, I want orange juice. I'm like, okay, but you literally just said that you wanted grape juice. This is no shit. He looks me dead in my eyes. He's like, what? He's indecisive about damn near everything, all right? And sometimes I think he's just bullshitting me. Like, for instance, when he gets sick, he gets dramatic as all hell, and I don't know where he got that from. We'll be laying down, and he does this thing where, like, he'll grab the side of my face, and he'll pull me in close so he can whisper in my ear, you know, like in the movies when someone's dying. Daddy, I'm sick. Ice cream. I'm starting to realize now that the older he gets, the more of this shit that I'm going to be dealing with. And quite honestly, I would not trade it for the entire world because all I'm asking for is a full 8 hours. So look, man, we can all agree that sometimes change is good, right? Sometimes change is necessary, but other times change is not. For instance, I've yet to have one person come up to me and say, hey, Bryce, try these new Lay's sour cream and onion chips. They're amazing. No, they're not, Lay's. They taste like fucking ass. I told my dealer I wanted some pot and he sold me a Dutch oven. Rode all the way home feeling like I just robbed the Macy's cookware department. Now that wasn't what I wanted, but I ain't gonna complain too much because I still got high cholesterol. His old lady answered the door. She done got that manager spot up there at the McDonald's. She got the big head. She opened the door. She said, what you want, Bryce? I ain't got time for your shit today. I said, manager, huh? She said, yeah. I said, well, next time I go through there, make sure my straw manages to find its way into my bag. Can you manage that? Can you manage that, bitch? Her old man, you know, he wanted to intervene, but at the same time, there was a piece of him that was like, Yeah, he one of them people that don't got a car, but he says he does. He's just been in the shop. Damn car been in the shop so long it paying rent. I walk in, I saw the PlayStation on the nightstand. I knew immediately. I was like, yeah, he cheating. A parasitic relationship is a symbiotic association between two organisms where one, the parasites, benefits at the other's expense. The host. 90% of you are in parasitic relationships. And don't get mad at me neither, alright? I ain't the one out here clapping skeeter cheeks. The moral of the story is you should never do drugs and or cheat on your spouse due to Facebook taking this post down for promotion if I didn't. I feel like as a society, we need to go back to putting facts over feelings, you know, because facts are important, you know what I mean? Stats are important. For instance, if you've ever seen a woman driving a Chevy Silverado, there's a 67% chance that at some point or another, she has used it to try and run over her husband. It shoots up to 80% if she's blonde, okay? 87% if it's a first generation model. Now, I don't come up with these rules, okay? These are just stats. They're stats. But they're also actual factual. I get it from a reliable source, all right? They go by common sense. The fun thing about stats is if they don't entirely work out in your favor, there's so many ways you can move the goalpost to get your desired result. For instance, statistically speaking, I'm 1.5 inches over the global penile average. That's right, y'all, if you exclude all the African nations. Factual, and also not racist. In fact, I would classify it more as a term of endearment. You know how blessed by God you have to be for me to completely take you out of the equation just so I can fit in? Speaking of fitting in, I did that for years until eventually I found a solid group of friends that told me I didn't have to do that. And it was all about the motion in the ocean. So I tried it. And you know what I was blessed with? Chlamydia. Hell, I stepped off the back porch, take a piss, and I started a fucking forest fire. And although it may be actual factual that I'm not HIV positive, I most certainly am HIM positive. Cause I'm him. Big dog, bitch. That's my dog. I may or may not have stepped on him when he was 2 weeks old. He's not fully with us anymore. But yeah, man, facts and shit. Me and one of my buddies went to the store, you know, my buddy, he's much younger than me, you know, he shot out the cooter with an iPhone 4 in his hand. While we was up there, we ran into one of my other buddies, and they had a little brief conversation, you know, and the younger one told him, he's like, well, if you ever want to stop by the house anytime, hang out, let me know. The guy says, all right. We got to leave out there, and I tell him, I said, you know, that's actually pretty cool that, you know, you would invite him over to your house and stuff. I like that. And he's like, well, what you mean by that? So I had to tell him the truth. I was like, look, my buddy's gay. And a lot of people, you know, don't like to have anything to do with him just because of what he prefers. And I think it's kind of cool you look past that, you know. It's kind of cool there. This is when I realized how out of touch these young kids are. These media boomer kids. This kid gonna look at me and say, hey, that's kind of fucked up. You shouldn't call him that. Well, excuse me, you know, I'm so terribly sorry for using the proper fucking nomenclature. I really hope and pray that this is not the wokeness of 2025, because if so, I'm gonna need a fucking Prozac. I had to put things in perspective for him, the same way I'm about to put things in perspective for y'all, okay? I grew up in a generation that was taught sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Watching SpongeBob on cable till my family left the room so I could recall it back to Family Guy. Going out into the world and hearing words and phrases that back then was in literally everyday conversation, but nowadays is, you know, socially unacceptable. You were able to make mistakes and learn your lesson peacefully without half the world getting in your business, with only a fucking, not even a real understanding of what's going on or the situation at hand. My generation is the last generation to have lived partially through or have an understanding of what life was like before the social media boom. When we die, we will literally be the last generation ever that knew what it was like to experience life outside of a phone. So when people ask me why I don't change or wake up, I tell them all the same thing. Because I'm a dying breed, man. I don't want to change because this is who I am, this is what I am, and this is what I'll always be, all right? Just like that guy will always be gay. This one goes out to all the kids that are graduating. This is some healthy tips for y'all. Here you go. And don't get upset with me for drinking, all right? I've had a long day, so you can fuck off. First thing you need to do after you graduate, head on up there to the store, get some KY jelly. All right, get some lube. I'm gonna tell you why, because life's gonna fuck you hard, boy. Doesn't matter if you're a boy, a girl, black, brown, pink. Let me tell you something. Life is bi, and life is interracial, all right? Life has proverbial hands, and they ready to eat for everyone. If you like to party, you better enjoy it while you're young, because when you get to my age, you fucking, let me tell you something. I went out to the bar last weekend. I woke up the next morning, I felt like I was in ICU. And Lord have mercy, don't get me started on the women, all right? The older I get, the more I relate to a police officer. Before we have conversation, I'm gonna need some form of identification. It's all right to not know what you want to do yet, what you want to do in life. It's completely all right? But you want to start to get a general idea, all right? In these next few years, start working towards a general idea of what you want to do. And don't worry if you ain't got it all figured out. Man, I'm 28 and I'm still trying to figure shit out. You're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. Don't worry about that too much. I've been drinking way too fucking much. Look at me trying to be nice to these people. I don't give a fuck about these kids. But on some real talk, on some real knowledge, on some real advice, all jokes aside, enjoy it while you're young, because when I walked that stage at 18, my dad looked me in the eyes and he told me, he said, 10 years are gonna fly by before you know it. And this morning when I walked down there in that house, he looked me dead in my eyes and he said, it's been 10 years, what I tell you. Enjoy it, slow down, be safe, but have a fucking time, man. Have a good time, learn your lesson, make mistakes. You'll get it all figured out. And if you get in trouble with law, tell them old Bryce Tucker sent you. Love y'all. So I walked in Dollar General earlier and I came across one of these bad boys right here. Sprite tea. Or as I like to call it, just another thing that nobody fucking asked for. We gonna give her old taste test, see what she talking about. Now I'm Southern, so y'all know I like my sweet tea. I really like the McDonald's Sprite, you know, because as good as it is, you can also use it to jumpstart your car and, you know, scrub the oil off of baby ducks and shit. But for the most part, I just like to drink Sprite when I'm sick, even though I know it doesn't help at all. You know, that's gotta be that's just one of them Southern folklore bullshit. Old taste test, see what she's talking about. Got a little fizz there. I don't know if I like my tea to do all that now. All right, so just first off, it tastes like Sprite with food coloring. All right, you get like a mixture of tea. You get a very subtle mixture of tea, but it mostly just tastes like Sprite. Let me double check just a... Now, it's highway robbery right here, boys. This shit kind of tastes like green tea if green tea got electrocuted. This shit made me go get a COVID test to make sure I wasn't fucking up out here. Because every time I got COVID, Sprite's the only thing I can taste. I said, oh, now. You let me down with that one, Sprite. Come on now, do better. I remember as a kid, I was terrified of ghosts. I mean, every night I'd wake up screaming and crying. Parents would come in. Dad, he'd say the same thing every time. He'd say, Bryce, now there ain't no such thing as ghosts. You need to man up and go to bed. My mom would always come to the rescue as soon as Dad started that shit. Oh, my sweet baby, come here, mama's got you. My dad get all pissed off, you know, he go running out the room, you know. That boy ain't never gonna be a man. I remember this one time I got so scared that Mom had to sleep with me for an entire week until I finally got enough confidence to feel like I was comfortable in my surroundings. Mom asked me, said, are you ready to be a big boy now? I said, what is this, a fucking Pampers commercial? Told her I could handle it. Turns out, I can't handle it. Middle of the night, go to screaming, crying. Parents come running in. By this point, my mom's asking me, she's like, what are you seeing? I was like, Mama, I ain't seeing nothing, but I'm hearing shit. It's like, listen, son, you gotta understand, it's an old house. It's our grandparents. It's gonna make creaks. It's gonna make noise. I said, Daddy, I'm used to all that, but the damn thing just threatened to swallow the only rooster we got on the whole property. And as a young kid, that was when I finally got validation that my dad was a real-life superhero. I never heard a ghost in that house ever again. Thanks, Dad. Happy early birthday. Happy Father's Day and diabetic awareness month and shit. So I got a question, all right. If I go up there to the fair, my son wants his face painted, I gotta pay for that, correct? And if I want my face painted, I gotta pay for that as well, okay? Now, it don't matter if we at a theme park, a zoo, a festival, it don't matter. I gotta pay for that, correct? Okay, so with all that in mind, shouldn't that hooker be paying me? I meet a new girl and we go talking about our past and shit, and she informs me about all the hoe things she used to do back in the day, you know? As if like I don't deserve it or something.